Hey, it worked. Doug, welcome to the show. Now, my introduction here is our good friend, Doug Peterson. He established Get Priorities Straight in 2018, aiming to empower business owners and high income earners in mastering personal and business cash flow. With over 18 years of coaching experience, Doug recognized a critical gap in understanding money management. GPS guides clients to reduce stress, eliminate waste, and gain clarity on their financial priorities, fostering proactive alignment of money with personal values and business goals. Welcome to the show, Doug. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you, Dan.
Well, so today's topic is I make lots of money. Where did it go?
Well, yeah, I can go into that, but first I need to give you a mortgage moment because Tucker missed the point. So if you take out a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, it takes 30 years to pay it off. But if you rob a bank, you're out in 10. So follow me.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is rob a bank, buy a house?
I'm working on the details.
Okay, all right. I don't know if that's the best advice that you're going to give today. So,
okay.
So let's talk about managing your day-to-day cash flow.
Absolutely. So first off, it's not taught at all. I talked to a specialist at a bank. They said, we teach financial literacy. They teach what a credit card is, what a bank account is. They don't say, what do you do with the money when you get it? How do you manage it so you have enough money to plan for kids and schooling and retirement and emergencies and gifts and birthdays? How do you do all that? Because it's a moving target and it's just not taught. Most people feel like they should know and they're ashamed to ask for help. And what I get over and over again from very sharp people is that they have never been taught.
Yeah, I totally get that 100%. So you've got 4 rules. What's the first rule?
Well, instead of having a pool of money in your bank account, which I call checkbook budgeting, do we have money? Yeah, we can buy it. You give every dollar a job. And that's the key. You first decide of all that money, not your investments and things that already have jobs, but what is that job? He mentioned in the mortgage segment, you needed 6 months worth of reserves. So that's a job for the money. So that's rule 1. Is make sure every time you get money in, you allocate it down to 0 so you have a job for it.
All right. So rule number 1 is every dollar has a job. What's rule number 2?
That's embrace your true expenses. What true expenses is all those infrequent things. And some of them you can anticipate, Christmas and birthdays, and we're heading out on vacation in July. But there's a bunch of them you can't anticipate when they're going to happen, but they're going to happen. Car maintenance, maybe health issues, medical problems. We had bed bugs once. I had a shoulder replacement. I didn't plan for those things. They just happen. So you need to set aside money for medical, set aside money for emergencies, and embrace your true expenses and turn them into monthly bills.
All right. So put your money to work and then identify your true expenses. What's rule number 3?
Well, it's not putting it to work. It's actually giving it a job to do.
Oh, okay. Give your money. I'm writing it down now.
Yep. Give your money a job and then embrace your true expenses, which is really saving monthly for things that are infrequent. And the third rule is to roll with the punches. Now, if you've assigned into a category each of these expenses and stuff changes, which it always does, keep in mind that a budget is a projection, and a projection is a guess of what's going to happen in the future. What I teach is a spending plan, which is here's our money and here's where we're going to spend it. But when it changes and things shift, by rolling with the punches, you take it out of one category and put it in the next category. So really, all 3 rules are the same rule. Give every dollar a job for the month, give it for the infrequent things, and also reassign the job when it's appropriate so you have what you need.
Okay, so roll with the punches. Now, rule number 4.
Rule number 4 is age your money. A lot of people think they're doing well if they're paying their credit card on the due date for the balance, statement balance. If you do that, you're paying for stuff you bought 25 to 55 days ago. If you pay the credit card off in full at the end of the month, obviously you're catching up. But most people are living on next month's income. So rule 4 is start living on last month's income. Have enough money to fund the entire month before the month starts. And then people make very different decisions when they know where their money is going versus wondering where it went.
No, that's great. And your what did I hear this morning? It's poor people procrastinate. Rich people are proactive.
Yep.
Right? That concept too. And when I say rich and poor, I just want any listeners to hear that I'm not talking about circumstances. I'm talking about state of mind, right? You know, there's a lot of financially well, earners that are poor in mindset. So I just want to make sure that our listeners understand what I mean by that is habits that will put you at peace, right? Put you at peace because you know that paycheck coming in, it's allocated and these things are already taken care of. And you can focus on other things because it's a high level of stress having financial issues. It's a high, number one or number two reason for divorce, right?
Yep. And you know, that's part of what's not being taught is, okay, the money's here. Come on, we're smart. We've been to college or not, and we are responsible adults. It's just paying bills, right? No, it's about getting your priorities clear and funding what's most important to you and knowing where it's going so you're not wasting stuff that you wouldn't do if you knew where it was going. You know, it's being proactive instead of reactive. You nailed it.
Okay, so I heard you mention something about credit float. What is that?
So credit float, you know, people go, well, I'm paying, you know, all my bills, but credit card float really means if you can't pay off your credit card in full at any time and pay all your bills, you're on the float. You're using the money and living on next month's income.
Okay, got it.
So the credit card float is very deceiving because even if you're not paying any interest because you're paying the statement balance, you're behind. Yeah. You're bringing in debt just to live on instead of having the money. So when you only spend money you always have enough money to pay off your credit card. You can use it. In fact, the program I use sets it aside. So at any day you want, you can pay it off.
Gotcha.
And on that note, debit cards are the most easy thing to hack. So I would recommend everybody not use a debit card unless you're just using a cash machine to get cash. Because
the debit card has access to all your money, right?
Absolutely. And there's no recourse. You can't say, I dispute this.
Oh, wow. So definitely would say find some kind of credit card to protect yourself and use your strategy. So I'm going to talk about some debt reduction strategies, the snowball where you take the smallest. Tell me about that versus the GPS method.
Okay, the two most popular, the snowball, which is, then this is a Dave Ramsey thing, take the smallest amount of your debt, throw everything you can at that, pay minimums at the larger amounts. So now the smaller one gets paid off first. Now you take everything you were throwing at the small one, put it at the minimum, plus all that you were throwing at the small one to pay off the next largest one. And the goal of the snowball is to see some progress. But if you're paying a lot higher interest on a bigger one, obviously it doesn't make the most financial sense. It's more of a motivation thing. The avalanche is, let's pay off the highest card first, but that may have a big balance and may take a long time, so you're still paying all this stuff. Mm-hmm. What I do is, and this really ties into your mortgage strategies and real estate strategies, is most people don't understand that their credit score has a great deal with their credit utilization on unsecured debt. So that means if you have a $10,000 credit card and you've got $9,000 you owe on it, you're 90% utilized, and that'll shoot your credit score down 20, 30, 40 points. So what I do is I do a phased strategy where I help people lower the utilization rates equally on cards, even if one's a zero interest balance transfer, so that we can raise their credit score so they can apply for a HELOC or a mortgage and actually get it. Now, in the Truth in Lending Act, banks have to, even though they absolutely know you'd never qualify, offer you an application. So even though they know you're not going to qualify, they'll say, look, let's just apply and send it to our underwriters and see what they think. Well, what I do is I get them so that they can be approved before we send it to the underwriters, so they are approved and the strategy works.
Nice. So then let's talk about the last, this will be the last question, but some couples are just not on the same page. How does your service help get couples on the same page?
Imagine someone saying, hey, you're spending too much, or we can't afford it. Those are two opinions. But imagine now that you sit down with your spouse every week for a few minutes and adjust your spending plan, and you've already allocated everything to vacations and kids' birthdays and Christmas and home maintenance and home improvement. the conversation changes to, what do we want to take it out of? Because that's how much money we have. Do we want to go into debt? And if you don't want to go into debt or take it out of somewhere else, you don't want it.
Mm.
But an opinion like we can't afford it, that just leaves it hanging.
Yeah, that doesn't actually, it's an ambiguous, it's almost hyperbole, right? It's hyperbole.
Yeah. One of the things I hated was having things hanging. Oh, I want a kitchen. Well, we really can't afford it. But I want one. But where's the money going to come from? Nothing's resolved.
Right.
Instead, hey, let's skip our vacations for the next 2 years and put in a kitchen. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
I don't want a kitchen that bad, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
But if you want the vacations that bad, well, skip that. Let's dine out less, whatever it is, and get your priorities clear.
Yeah.
You can fund those that are important.
Well, Doug, as always, I appreciate you coming on the show. I see your number flashing across the screen. And is that the best way for people to contact you?
Well, either that, or some people want to just look at my calendar or see my website or get my email. And the easiest one, since Get Priorities Straight is kind of tough to spell. How many S's are there? Just go to schedulewithdoug.com, and that'll take you to my calendar, my phone number, website, email, everything. Just schedulewithdoug.com.
Schedulewithdoug.com. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Doug. Appreciate it. I'm going to bring Tucker back to the show for our crosstalk. What are you guys doing this weekend? Yeah, I didn't know.
I'm getting ready. I'm renting out my basement, so I'm getting ready for a renter. Nice.
Little extra income. Way to go. Yeah. Nice. I think the rain, I enjoyed a round of golf last weekend. So that was nice. But yeah, I was thinking about going to a rugby game. Actually, there's one on Friday down in Tukwila. So I might do that.
And the Sounders are back in action at home this Saturday.
There you go. So there's some good things to do. I want to thank Doug. Thanks, Tucker. Appreciate our producer, Lorenz, who helped produce this in the back end. If you know of any great businesses that like to be spotlighted on the show, please reach out to us. My number's right there. Have a wonderful weekend.